Hello once again to this little fireside chat without Chris. He's not available this week and then he's away for a few weeks travelling, and good luck on him. I hope he enjoys his time away. So you've basically got me talking to myself. So there you go. Now, while I was away, there were some interesting things I saw. Now, the first thing I want to discuss is EV prices. I know that this is fairly dear to the heart of many people that watch this, because I was in one of the countries, I think it was Iceland, that's right, and I went and got to look at the VWID Buzz base model, which worked out to be about the equivalent of 90,000 Australian. Now, prices there are about 15, maybe 20% higher. Everything's a lot more expensive in Iceland. But even if you bring that down by 15% to, let's say, $75,000, it's still not going to be an economical buy because it's got a range of 230 kilometers if you're lucky. So 350 Ks, yeah, real world 300. It's just not enough for that sort of money. So here in Australia, we do need some more cheaper EVs, and we are getting them. I mean, we've got a bit of a price war going on at the moment, so I've just written down a few prices. The MG ZS EV Excite is currently the cheapest EV in Australia at $34,990 Australian. Now, if you're in Australia, there are some states that have got incentives. Really, I think it's Queensland and WA are left. WA's got a 3,500 rebate, which just about pays for the on-road costs. We've got the most expensive on-road costs here in Western Australia. But Queensland did have a $6,000 rebate. That brings that $35,000 MG ZSEV down to $29,000. Now, that is a pretty damn reasonable price for a smallish SUV. And the MG ZS EV isn't a bad car. Now, you can go up and get the Essence and then the long range, which goes up to about 46,000 and 51,500, give or take. Less the rebate, if there is one in your state, still makes them reasonable. And the MG4 Excite is 41,500. Going up to 56,000 for the long range with its 77 kilowatt hour battery. Now, the one thing that MG, which is Chinese owned, and all the Chinese manufacturers are doing great on pricing at the moment, they have increased their warranty to 10 years. Think about that. 10-year warranty or 250,000 kilometers. So 25,000 kilometers a year for 10 years. That's pretty damn reasonable. Now, they do hit you a bit with the service costs, but even so, a 10-year warranty and 250,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, pretty damn good. Now, before MG dropped their prices on the ZS EV, the GWM Aura was the cheapest car. And the standard range is still $35,990 when I just checked. So it's only $1,000 more expensive. And then you go up to the extended range and the GT at $37,000 and $44,000. Less any incentives. And they've got a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. And they did have a $99 service fee. That was it. That was one of the best in the industry. So, all up, not too bad. I mean, BYD aren't doing too bad either. They've got the Dolphin. The Dynamic is just under 40,000. The Atto 3 Standard is 47,000. And the Sealed Dynamic at 54,000, going up to just over 71,000 for the Performance. These prices are very, very competitive. The BYD warranty is bit iffy. 8 years, 160,000 kilometers on the battery, but the vehicle only gets a 6-year, 150,000 kilometer warranty. Yeah, me not understanding. Now, there is a new player on the block, Xpeng, and that's brought out the G6, and it's available to pre-order in Australia. Prices will be known within the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping it will be under 60,000 because it's slightly smaller than the Model Y, doesn't have quite the range of technology in it, and you can get the base Model Y for just a smidge over 60,000 now. So hopefully that will come in at under 60. Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. Now they've also got their a new model coming out called the Mo3. Now that's basically a Model 3 competitor. In China, it is priced at, wait for it, $17,000 American. So $25,000 Australian, give or take a bit. Okay, so it hasn't quite got the safety features for Australian design rules requirements, but even adding those in, you're going to get something like a Model 3 for in the 30,000s. I would say 35,000. Bloody hell, that's not too bad. Less your state rebate, if there is any. I know WA's is beginning to run out. They only really said they were going to do 10,000, I think it was, and we're up to 7,000 odd the last time I looked. But that XPun is not a bad car. I sat in the G6 and I did a video on it if you look back. And you know what? It's very comfortable. I couldn't get it for a test drive, obviously. It is slightly smaller than the Model Y, but if it comes in cheaper, it's going to be competitive. Unfortunately, if they price it more expensive, then I would recommend people to get the base Model Y. But anyway, so, we are getting some cheap cars. They're not cheap enough for some people, but if you live in the right state, you will get a bit of a discount. So honestly, I think the MG ZS EV, which would be under 35,000 now, less any rebate. Now, it's only got a low range. It's about the 320 kilometer range for the base model, which is about the same as the ID Buzz, or at least 2 to 3 times the price. Now, I do like the ID Buzz myself. Back in the late 60s, I used to drive around a VW combi van. And you know what? It was great fun. And this is the sort of the retro version, the ID Buzz. And, it's not bad. I quite liked it. I sat in it. And room in the back isn't bad. You can get the extended wheel version, which has got 7 seats, I think. But even so, the 5-seat base model, if it was priced right, it would be a lot better. I'd even consider getting one myself, but at the moment, it's not priced right. So VW, you really need to pull your finger out and start looking at pricing, because I think the way you're going, I've got a towel for you. I'll give it to you. You can throw it in because that's the way you're going. Hello, Kodak. So I've just mentioned the Mo3 from XPun. Here it is. You know what? Looks pretty bloody good, doesn't it? All right. So I think XPun and BYD, and certainly a lot of the Chinesey type places, are going to take over the EV car market. So basically, both BYD and XPun have announced that they plan for half their sales volume to come eventually from markets outside of their home country. The Mo3. Is that front a bit like a Porsche Taycan? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So, you know what? This is not a bad vehicle. And I quite look forward to that one coming to Australia as well. Look, I think competition is great. I've got a Tesla. I love Teslas, but we need to get more cheaper vehicles into Australia. And that Mo3 doesn't look too bad. The next thing I want to discuss is EV charging. When I was walking around Iceland and even Greenland to a certain extent, but certainly when I was in Reykjavik, there were chargers everywhere. I mean, it was just a mass of chargers. There were fast DC chargers, and I did my last video, if you go back to that. There were petrol stations with a couple of petrol pumps and half a dozen fast DC chargers. This is where petrol stations need to be heading. It's the retail experience. Now, I used to know somebody who owned petrol stations, and he said he made a pittance out of the petrol, but he made a fortune out of the chocolate bars, the cans of Coke, the bread and the milk. He made over $100,000, and this is going back a long time, out of each petrol station on the extras. And he didn't make very much, maybe 1 or 2 cents a litre, if that, because the prices of the petrol and diesel were controlled by Shell, Ampol, and so on. Now, we've got Ampol, Amp Charge, and BP with their BP Plus and something or other, BP Pulse, putting in some chargers at petrol stations, but they're a bit of an afterthought. The one down the road here has got about 10 Bowsers, and they've stuck 2 fast DC chargers over in the corner. Fine, no one will park there, and it is well labelled. And they are getting used, but this is where the petrol station people need to start thinking about attracting EV drivers to fast chargers, where they will come in and they'll buy a coffee, use the toilet, maybe buy a chocolate bar or a can of Coke. That's where they're going to make the money. That's where they do make the money. So if we take a quick look at this article in The Driven, now this is where they're saying EV people petrol stations need to be looking at the experience for the people. So they've got all these chargers about to go in, and it says here, it's all about the retail experience, attracting EV drivers to their fast chargers. Now, this to me makes sense. When I used to drive a diesel petrol car, you go in and you fill up, you walk in, and I'd frequently buy a chocolate bar because I'm a bit of a chocoholic, sorry. And that's where they made the money. Chocolate bar was, $4 or $5. They'd make $1 or $2 on that. They didn't even make that on my $100 fill up, I don't think. So they need to start thinking about getting this retail experience. Now, there is a place that's actually 2 places in the UK. I forget. The first one was in Essex. I think at Brentford. Don't quote me on that. They built a big EV charging place. They had many, many chargers, but ranging from 350 kilowatt chargers all the way down to 50 kilowatt. And I think they even had a couple of the destination chargers there. But they built a building, and you could go in, you could get a coffee or a drink, you could buy some food, you could go into the bookshop, W.H. Smith bookshop. They had an EV showroom. They had a lot of things to do there. You're putting your car on to charge, it might be 20 or 30 minutes. You go in there and you spend money. That's where they'll be making the money. So, it's something that these petrol stations need to think about. I know in England there was one petrol station, ripped out all the pumps and just put in EV chargers. And you're still making money. So, let's have a think about this. Now, while I was in Iceland, I saw a smart 1 or 2. No, 1 or 3. I think it was the smart 3 when I was walking around Reykjavik. I thought it was bloody ugly, to tell you the truth. Well, looks like, I mean, smart's Mercedes, I think. The Smart 5 is becoming available. So the Smart 5 is going to be an 800-volt electric vehicle with impressive fast charging capability and a fully fledged 100 kilowatt hour battery. Not bad. So this is the larger one, because there's the Smart 1 is small, the Smart 3 is medium, the Smart 5 looks large. Now, it has unveiled this premium flagship in Australia this week, I think, 28th of August. There we go. It was only 2 days ago after I recorded this. 5-seater, 100 kilowatt hour battery. What do you think? Look, to me, it looks ugly. Now, not being unkind to Jeeps, but it's got that Jeepy look about it to me. And personally, I would never buy a Jeep, but that's me. So it's a Geely-owned platform, and it says to have a range of 740 kilometres, top speed of 200 kilometres per hour, with the top variant to reach 210 kilometres per hour. Yeah, oh God, look at that. To me, this is ugly. It's boxy. Reminds me of a Kia Soul, actually, which I don't like either. Inside, look, that's quite good. It's got quite an expansive screen across, and it's even got the binnacle in front of the steering wheel, your instrument cluster. Doesn't look too bad. Oh my goodness me, it's even got a little frunk. How nice. We don't know anything about the charging rate. I don't know. What do you think of it? Me personally, yeah, not sure. So there we have the Smart 5. As I said, I saw a Smart 3, I think it was, in Reykjavik. Didn't like it. But, each to their own. There will be some people that think that that's great. Okay, that's fine. I like Teslas. There's a lot of people that go, yuck, I don't like them, the minimalistic design. Look, that suits me. And I'm one of these people that I don't need buttons in the car. So all these reviewers who go, oh, look, we've got lots of buttons. So bloody what? You see, this is where we need to look to the future, not look to the past. So we've got, the future is fewer and fewer things that you need to fiddle with. In the past, you got buttons and dials for everything. You don't need them. That's my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, this is an article that was published about a month ago that I missed, and it was in the Driven. Now, there's a shipbuilding company called Ostal, and it's just down the road from here, where I live. And they're going to build a wind-powered cargo trimaran that's going to ditch diesel. Hey, look at this. That's yeah, how is it a cargo? I don't know. It's obviously not going to take the same sort of loads that these humongous cargo transporters can do. But as you see, this is West Australian shipbuilder Ostal has been awarded a contract to design and construct a wind-powered aluminium cargo trimaran. So, I mean, this is great. It's going to be 67 meters in length. And it's going to have its first maiden voyage mid next year. Okie dokie. So this is going to reduce the CO2 emissions. So that is obviously good. And it says here, while each vessel is able to carry the cargo equivalent of 51 TEU containers per trip, compared to the thousands carried by traditional vessels, it's able to deliver to strategically located harbours at speed and lower costs and no CO2 emissions. So basically, it can go into ports where these large container ships can't go, because they go into these major ports, they're all offloaded, and what happens to these containers? They're put onto the back end of huge diesel trucks and then carted off around the country. So taking them into smaller ports means even fewer emissions will reach the atmosphere, hopefully. So all up, I thought that was quite nice. A wind-powered cargo ship. So there you have it for this week. My chat with me. No, Chris. So there I was talking to myself. Thanks very much for watching. Just make some comments below what you think of the wind-powered cargo ship. Personally, I think it's excellent. What do you think of that Smart 5? Yeah. What sort of price do you think is a good price for an EV? Now, I know some people seem to want them down in the $15,000 to $20,000 price bracket, but you're not going to get a huge range for that money. The price of EVs is coming down, the price of batteries is coming down, but I still think we're going to be paying 20,000+ for them. The average selling price in America of a car is over $41,000 American. I think it's around the same, about $40,000 here. So you can get a lot of EV for less than that. So let me know what you think. Make some comments below. Oh, and while you're there, there's a like, subscribe, and ding dong. If you click those, it really does help the channel. Trust me, I know it does help the channel, and I could do with all the help I could get. And if you want, there is also a link down below for my Tesla referral, which is now live again in America. So here's my referral, pretty please, if you want to buy a Tesla. And also, I do like Ko-fi, so there's a link down below to help support me with a Ko-fi. So thanks very much, and I'll see you all very soon.